rowing erg introduction. So a few things here. First off, damper. I would like you to choose somewhere in the mid-range for most of your workouts, somewhere between 5 or 6. The higher damper, the more resistance you will get from the handle. And in most cases that will give you fatigue too early on. So as a rule of thumb, if the distance is longer than 500 meters for one rep, choose a lower damper. So somewhere in the mid-range works for most kind of workouts. If you're doing mixed modal, could be beneficial to do like a little higher damper, like 7 or 8. If you're in the 12 to 15 cal range, mixing it with burpees or something, and you need to get the cals going a little faster, and you are actually recovering because you're doing other stuff. But if you're doing a rowing workout, I would recommend you to stay on 5-6. Foot position. I would like you to try to have a strap over your first row of laces. I can get into more detail on why you should use this as a guideline, but let's keep it simple. So I'm choosing 4 and I'm size 44. It's a lot about your shoe size. Then we have the display. So a lot of options here: calories, strokes per minute, etc. Let's talk about that in another video where we're actually focusing on the display. Otherwise it's going to be confusing. So rowing for the most part is I mean the biggest tech side of the rowing is to understand 3 simple concepts and chaining them together. The first phase, which we're doing in the catch phase or the starting position, is extending the knees while maintaining the hip or back angle, right? So just extending the knees, then we're extending the hips or back, then we're adding a finish with the arms. When we're going back on the recovery phase, we are doing it in reverse. We're extending the arms, bending the hip, bending the knees, bending knees, extending hips, bending arms, straightening, extending, and so forth. Understanding this concept is crucial to get good at rowing. And you can, when you see this, you will notice in your gym who is a good rower and who is not. I created a rowing fails video, which I think you should watch with this. So we're not going to focus so much on how not to row versus how to row. So it's when you grab the handle, try to have relaxed hands. Think of these as like hooks, like just are hooked over the handle. Try to not be tense like this. It's okay to have a little bent arms, but don't, if you have bent arms, you need to have like, don't pull too early. Don't bend them too early before you have started extending your hips, right? That's going to be a loss of power. So what we want to see is, we want to see extension of the knees, maintaining back angle, changing the back angle or extending the hips, and finishing. Okay. Reversing into the machine in the recovery phase. A good practice to get this, the feeling for this, is to row at a slow strokes per minute, somewhere between 20 22, and actually play with this for 10, 15, 20 minutes, I would say. That's what rowers do when they practice technique. They practice technique on recovery days, doing like 3 or 4 times 5K rows, which is a lot for CrossFitters. But you need to practice this for a long period of time so you automate it, okay? Because it's gonna be hard to row 2K with good technique unless you have done it for for many reps. Okay, that's it for this introduction to the